What's up, Nerdyverse? I'm Daddy Louie, and in this video we are taking a look at a game called Samurai Brothers, so stick around. Before we get started, if you are new to our channel and you want to see more content like this, start now by hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Samurai Brothers is a brand new game going up on Kickstarter today, actually. So the day that this video goes live is actually the first day of the Kickstarter. It is being published by Moonrock Games. It is for 2 to 6 players for ages 8 and up and takes around 30 to 60 minutes to play, based, of course, on how many players you have playing. The concept here is that you are a samurai warrior and you have a sensei, a dojo, some cool artifacts, and some guards all protecting your dojo. And you are spending ninjas that you have in a reserve, which I'll show you in a minute, in order to perform actions to try and do one of two things. A, eliminate your sensei, or all of the samurai that you are facing off against, be the last samurai standing, or to collect all of the heirlooms, the artifacts that the game started with. You don't have to collect the ones that are off in the reserves, but you do have to collect yours and steal the others from other players. But is it good? Well, if you'll join me on the table, we'll check it out. All right, so before we super deep dive into this game, I do have to first say that this is a early prototype version of the game. All I received was the cards that you see here, as well as some, it looks like Lego pips in order to help keep track of the health of your samurai. The final version of the game, I have seen photographs, concept photographs, and you will also get a board for each player in order for you to place your stuff on. The senseis, I believe the senseis, the heirlooms, and the samurai, and the temple guard, actually everything here are not necessarily cards. There'll be tokens or something like that to represent these things. The samurai in particular, the one I saw, there's like round circle tokens with their abilities and stuff on the outside, which was really, really cool. And obviously not Legos and stuff to keep track of your health. And then the cards are the cards. A lot of the art is final, but there is a lot of placeholders as well. For example, the senseis in the version that I got are all the same art, but again, I have seen the final art for the new senseis, if you will, and they look really, really cool. I'll try and throw a picture up on the screen. And as well as some of the ninjas and stuff. They've replaced some of the ninjas instead of with generic, plain old ninja stuff. They've replaced some of the art for that as well. But I can still show you guys the game. The concept is still there, and it was very easily playable with what I was given. So the game comes with 3 decks of cards. You have your ninja cards. There are elite ninjas, baby ninjas, and legendary ninjas, all mixed in here of different elements. You have your action deck, much smaller stack of cards that has blocks and steals and attacks and stuff like that. And then you have your dojo deck, which is broken down into 4 different types of cards. You have your samurai, which are your main characters. That's what you're playing as. You have your heirlooms. That's what you're trying to steal from other people. They also have very powerful once per game abilities. You have your temple guard. They are the ones that are your last line of defense and can do big swings of return damage as well. And then you have your senseis, which are stealable by your opponent, but they do have every round abilities. They actually get their own phase. How the game starts is there is a snake draft dependent on how many players you have inside the rules. I was given this handy chart. So it shows you and explains how a snake draft works. You have the first player go, second, third, fourth. Fourth goes again. third, second, first. First goes again, so on and so forth. And then you place all of these cards from the temple deck out and allow people to draft. And again, based on how many players you have, for example, in a 2-player game, each player gets 1 samurai, 3 heirlooms, 3 temple guard, and 1 sensei. A 3 game like this, and a 4 to 6 player game like that. Alright, so here I have set up for a 2-player game. This is what my side of the board would look like. So I have my samurai here, my sensei, my 3 heirlooms, my 3 heirlooms and my 3 temple guard. Now, there are no extra temple guards and no extra heirlooms. So in the reserves, so if something is stolen or whatever, you cannot get any more of these items from the reserves. However, if my sensei is stolen by my opponent, then I can grab something from the reserves later in the game to replenish my sensei. But the game is broken up into phases. Each turn has 5 phases. You have the heirloom phase, the sensei phase, the action phase, the dojo phase, and the reload phase. It's honestly quite simple. Once you get the hang of it, the cards are pretty self-explanatory, and they're very descriptive, so you don't have to reference the rules at all. But in the heirloom phase, which is the first phase, you may use one untapped or unused heirloom. And like I said, these are once per game, unless for some reason something gets stolen, or you play a block card that allows you to untap or ready something. For the most part, these are going to stay tapped once you tap them. And like I said, they're very powerful effects. For example, this egg here is untap all of your temple guards and draw to a full hand. So you can use all 3 of your temple guards, and then you can tap this egg to untap all of your temple guards. And that's one of the only ways that you can untap stuff. So untapping is very, very powerful. So early game, you're probably not going to want to use your heirlooms right away. So you would be skipping this phase for the beginning part of the game, at least. The next phase is the sensei phase, in which you can use your sensei's ability to do something. So, for example, this sensei says, add top ninja from the draw pile to your dojo, or you can assign 1 ninja from your hand to the dojo. So you can, you basically get to play an extra ninja on your turn, either from the top of the deck or from your hand, which again is quite strong. The samurai that I picked out, by the way, here says that you are allowed to have 8 cards in your hand instead of 7. At the beginning, you would draw 7 cards from the dojo deck. My guy gets an extra 1, so I have 8 cards. After the sensei phase, you'll have the action phase and the dojo phase that are kind of played together. And in this phase, you can play 2 actions, 2 ninjas, or 1 and 1, basically. In the first 2 rounds of the game, you can't play any action cards. You actually don't even have any action cards in your hand. So you can only play ninjas. And you're playing ninjas underneath your dojo, and the ninjas are going to be there to absorb damage and also to pay for action cards. So real quickly, let's go through an opening turn. So I don't want to use any of my heirlooms. I would go to my sensei, and he either allows me to play an extra card from here or a card from my hand. Now, since I have 8 cards in hand, I'll go ahead and use it. And I've got a mix of elite ninjas, baby ninjas, and these powerful legendary ninjas. So I'm actually going to play this legendary ninja deep freeze. And the art is really, really fun in this game, especially if you like chibi art, big head, little bodies. And they took a lot of classic ninjas from other pop culture, and you'll notice them sprinkled up. I look at this guy and I see Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. There's another guy that looks kind of like Scorpion, and like this guy looks like that guy from, from G.I. Joe. What's his name? You'll let me know in the comments. So anyway, I used my sensei to play this legendary ninja deep freeze down here. And then I get to my action dojo phase. Since it is the first round, I can't play any actions. I don't have any. So I would be able to play 2 ninjas. So I'm going to look at my hand. I'm going to play this legendary ninja ice glider. And I'm going to play, let's see here. I'm going to play this elite ninja as well. And there's no limit to how many ninjas you can have in your dojo. Like I said, you're going to be using them to absorb damage and to pay for action cards, so you want to play as many as possible. And then after that, we go into the reload phase, which is allows you to draw a full hand of 7, or in this case 8, and I can draw cards from either deck. So I can either draw cards from the dojo, which is just full of ninjas, or I can start drawing action cards. Now, next turn, I know I'm going to be able to play 3 ninjas, right? So that would leave me with 2 ninjas left, which I don't like. So I can replenish 3 cards. I'm going to replenish 1 from the dojo and 2 from the action deck, so I can start getting some action cards. And then I would pass play to my opponent. All right, so once both players have gone for a couple of turns, you will start to have built up a nice little pile of ninjas, and hopefully you've started to gather up some action cards so that you can start doing some things. You can either, like I said, you can steal stuff from your opponent, and you can also do some pretty neat attacks. So let's take a look at some of these actions really quickly and how we pay for them. So let's take a look at this legendary attack. This is a big swing attack that will inflict 18 damage onto our opponents. And the cost is written right here. So the dojo cost is, it's either going to cost me 9 hearts worth of ninjas or 2 legendary ninjas of the same element. So each ninja has an element on it. For example, here is fire. So I would need to spend 2 legendary ninjas of the same element, which I actually happen to have here. So I could pay with these 2 guys. They are the same. They're both legendary, and they are both the same. And they happen to equal 10 hearts, which I only need 9. But it's either or. So I either need 9 hearts worth of ninjas or 2 of the same. And if my opponent can't block this, he's going to have to deal with 18 points worth of damage, which I'll explain in a minute. However, I don't really want to get rid of 2 legendary ninjas, so instead I could do 9 hearts worth. So I could do a 6 here, and then a 3 here. I put these in the discard pile, and that pays for my legendary attack. And now I can't use those ninjas to block or pay for anything else in the future. They are spended. Spended? Is spended a word? No, it's not. They are spent. And then, like I said, my opponent will have to deal with it. So how do you deal with it? Well, 18 damage is a lot. No kidding. So you have a couple of options. You can absorb 18 damage worth of ninjas down here. You can also take damage to your samurai, which you don't want to do, because if your samurai is ever defeated, you lose. Or you can block damage with your temple guard. Now, each temple guard has a health value. Regardless of how much damage they take, they are going to die. So even if, like, for example, this golden eagle here, he can take a total of 12 damage. Even if he takes 1 damage, he's going to die. So you want to make sure that you're absorbing damage to the maximum extent possible. So, for example, with that 18 damage, I don't have 18. Actually, I do have 18 down here. So I could just spend, let's see, 6 is 12. For 16, and I would overpay, but I would basically lose, all of these guys here in order to absorb that damage from that guy. So that's the way that you can absorb damage. Let's take a look at some of these other actions. I could also play steal an heirloom, right? We talked about how powerful heirlooms were. The dojo cost for this is I need to spend 1 baby ninja, 1 elite ninja, and 1 legendary ninja. So I also happen to have that. I spend 1 baby, 1 elite, and 1 legendary, and I can pay for this card. This card basically says that I'm taking one of my opponent's heirlooms. It becomes untapped, and I can use it. That's one of the win conditions of the game, stealing all of the heirlooms that are in play and bringing them over. But not only that, but it gives you the ability to have a powerful heirloom on your side. It can be blocked by the defender of the heirlooms, but they have to have a block card. And those are rare. They're not, there's only, I think, 1 of each type in the deck. So given that, in a 2-player game, you might not get through the deck. In a larger game, you may just not ever get that card. So keep in mind that blocks are rare as well. But those are really the things that you can do for actions: steal and attack. And that's really the object of the game, right? You're trying to steal heirlooms, and you're trying to attack so that they're having to spend their guards and they're having to spend their ninjas to absorb damage so that they can keep their samurai alive. So the more pressure that you put on the samurai, the more they're going to have to spend in order to keep that samurai alive. And that's it. It's that back and forth. In a 6-player game, you're obviously deciding who you want to attack. Blocks can be used by anybody. So if I wanted to block my neighbor's attack on my buddy because I want to keep him alive so I can kill him later, I can do that as well. So it's this really cool back and forth, using the heirlooms to your advantage, finding good combinations, drafting the right stuff that fits well with your playstyle. Okay, so the one other thing that I forgot to mention was counter-attacking. So anytime that you get attacked, you can counter-attack using these temple guards. And you use them by tapping them. They can still absorb damage even if they're tapped. So you do want to tap them and use them for counterattacks pretty early on, because eventually they will start taking damage and disappearing. Once they take damage, they're gone completely. But a counterattack is done with half of the health that it can absorb. So this Temple Guard Black Bear here, he has 10 health he can absorb, but he can counterattack for 5 attack. So, or for 5 damage. So if someone, attacks me for however much, I can then spend one of my Temple Guard to attack them back, and they have to absorb that damage. And they can actually counter my counter. So they can do the same thing, and they can counterattack back. And it can actually keep going back and forth until someone stops countering the counters, and then a ceasefire basically happens. But that's how counterattacking works. Like I said, you want to do that relatively early in the game because you don't want to have to absorb damage with one of your guard and never had the chance or opportunity to counterattack with it. Because once it takes any amount of damage, it's gone. And real quickly, I just want to show off some of the art again. It's really fun. I like it a lot. I'm a big fan of the chibi style art anyway, so this is kind of right up my alley. And if you like it, if you like that type of art, you'll enjoy this as well. And that's it. That's everything that you need to know in order to play Samurai Brothers. My final thoughts of the game is it's really fun. I honestly, when I first saw it, I didn't see all the amount of strategy that there was to it until I really started playing the game. And you really have to weigh your options when you're deciding how you're going to pay for stuff, what cards you're going to draw on your turn, what heirlooms you're going to draft, what guards you're going to draft, what samurai you're going to draft. There's a lot of possibilities here. I have spoken with the designer of the game, the creator of the game, and there is expansions in the future. There's also, I heard that there was another game coming out called Samurai Sisters, all based upon the success of this Kickstarter. Like I said, if you're watching this video when it gets released, the game came out today on Kickstarter. Go check it out. I'll leave links to all of that in the description below. I really think you guys will enjoy it. Make sure that you go and show them some support. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Really helps us out a lot. Make sure that you share it with your family, friends, and your nerdy communities. If you have any games that you want to see us cover here on the channel, you can let us know down in the comments section down below. I do read all of those, and I enjoy interacting with you guys. If you have any videos you want featured on our page, if you would like to collaborate with us, you can hit us up on one of our many social media platforms. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Circle of Nerds. Also, don't forget that we have a podcast that comes out every Wednesday right here on YouTube or anywhere that you enjoy listening to podcasts. That is called The Cosmic Disaster Show. Season 5 just launched this week, and we are super excited to bring you lots more different kinds of content. And for an extra bit of love and affection to us here at the Circle of Nerds, please consider checking us out over on Patreon at patreon.com/circleofnerds. Anyway, guys, that's all from me. I will see you in the next video.